It's well over 5,000 searches just from the beginning of this week. Neymar is in the conversation one more time. If you're not entirely sure who Neymar is, Neymar Jr. is a player for Paris Saint-Germain. He's one of the most expensive players in the world right now. Now, apparently he was accused of rape by a woman he had some relations with sometime in May, and a lot of conversation has gathered around this. And one of them is the possibility that the accusation might be false. Which brings us to the question, should false accusations be prosecuted? This morning, I and my ladies are having a deep intellectual conversation about the situation. Good morning.
Good morning.
Let me do what Ejiro should have done. How are you feeling this morning?
I feel good.
I feel cold, actually.
Wow.
Is it like cold, like emotional cold, or you're just cold like as a person?
Wow, Joy is emotional, really.
Well, I was going to hug her.
Okay. We can do that after.
Well, I'm getting better.
Okay, now apparently, according to research, when I was first going into this topic, it shows that between 2% to 10% of all rape accusations have turned out to be false. And it could take on two different cases where you could just say that I was raped, or you provide some sort of loose evidence to the situation that you were raped. Now, with the Me Too movement, which has been really hot since last year, with a special particular attention being paid to women, and the campaign has been pushed to believe women against all odds. How do we decipher, or what do we do in the case of a false accusation, be it rape, assault, anything? Especially in this climate, we're not supposed to always believe women. Thank you.
I think it's first of all, false accusation, like you said, loose facts. They're not holding ground, and then being that women are seen as weaker vessels in quotes, that's not the line of thought, but women are seen that way, and then we put ourselves in positions where we like the victims, and all of that. So if a woman comes right now, the Neymar case, and she says she's been raped, her word has been taken first. But on the other hand, people are beginning to see way beyond a woman just coming to cry out as a victim. People really want to dig and say, okay, is she out here to extort money? Is she out here looking for attention? And so a lot needs to be done. It's tricky to decipher if somebody is really lying or not, but at the long run, as the case begin to go up, we begin to see that if this person is really lying, her resolution begins to break, and you find out that cases amongst which false accusation comes up about rape, women at the long run, they just say they're tired of it, they drop all the charges. That will begin to happen at the end of the day. It doesn't proceed to the court. So you just see that the reverse is the case to the accused. Nobody talks about the accused. Everybody feels that, oh, the accused. But the accused, has lots to go on. For instance, if you're a celebrity like Neymar, clubs are really saying, should we sign him? Will he suit our brand? Will he suit what we believe in as a brand? And then it has a whole lot of emotional trauma to this individual as a person. So people should not just come out and say they're raped. Now, I was making my research and I discovered that in the Great Britain, out of 218 cases of accused rape, it's just 18 out of 215 that actually are being prosecuted, because at the long run, investigation finding leads to the fact that it was just false accusation.
Those are metrics that I think I would not agree with, because you can't say that a person drops out of a race or drops out of the process because they're forced. Have you seen a rape victim being roused in court? Have you seen a lawyer in front of a lawyer that is defending the accused rapist? It is, first of all, in the society where we live in, the victim is constantly being blamed. You can hear a woman say something like, I got raped by this man, and the first thing you hear is, what were you wearing? What did you wear?
Why did you walk at
Why were you walking at night?
Night,
When men can walk at whatever time of the day they so please. You hear people saying things like, why did you go to the house if you did not want to have sex, and stuff like that. And that is the major reason why a lot of women give up the battle against their victim, because more often than not, they are the one that carries the shame. They are the ones that the society is going to fight against. They are the ones that are not going to be able to come out. One time when I was in school, there was a hostel that was robbed, and then the girls were raped in the hostel. And then a friend of mine lives opposite the hostel, and we were chilling in front of his house. And then one guy was like, I see one fine babe come on for that hostel just now. And then another guy was like, you want to follow baby they rape.
Wow.
Do you understand? The woman is the one that bears the stigma, and I believe that is the reason why a lot of those cases were not pursued, not because they were false. But like coming back to the conversation that we're having, how is it even possible to decipher if the case is false or not? In clear criminal proceedings, you have to provide a certain kind of evidence. But in situations of rape, most times you cannot provide any kind of evidence. Most likely it was just you and the person that raped you that were in the room. So it always will be your word against the person. So without trying to victim blame, is there any way that we can actually decipher that a person has been raped? Generally, you're advised that as soon as you get raped, you go to the clinic, they take samples. But I feel like a person that is currently traumatized
May not be
is
able
not
to
thinking about going
himself.
to the clinic to face more hazing. So is it a gray area in general? What do you think, Adrian?
I think first of all, one of the reasons why people don't step out and talk about rape cases is first of all the embarrassment and then the trauma. Now, when you come out, let's take our society as an example. You just gave a very practical example that actually happens every time in our society. When you come out in our society, they do not think of what you're feeling. They do not see what you're feeling. The first thing they ask are questions. Why were you there? What did you do? And I believe that what should be done about such cases is, are there laws that actually protect women against this kind of things? Do we say if I actually go to the police station and lay complaint, or I go and meet a doctor and he gives me his confidence and says, okay, don't worry, I'm going to help you through this process, or whatever evidence that needs to be provided because you came to make this report will be provided for you. Now, what happens many times is because when you step into that place and you actually want to say this is what is happening to me, you begin to get different kind of responses. For example, the police will ask you to pay so and so amount first, and then you begin to pursue, and then you realize you've spent so much, but there is no headway. So it's something that our society has not really enforced. Do you understand? Now, it's not like we found out yesterday that there were rules against rape. There, people should be prosecuted. But the question is, if I go to the court or if I go to the police station and say, help me file this case, what would be done about it? Would something actually be done about it? So I think the enforcing of these rules and these laws should be put into cognizance. So that way we don't feel left out. Ladies that are being victims of rape or however, or false accusation as the case may be, may have something they fall back to. That's what I believe.
Okay, Joanne.
Okay, if I should get your question right, I'm right.
Okay.
You're asking what will the rape victim do, like the evidence.
So I'm saying that if we're trying to find out if a case is false, how do we draw the line? Where do we know if we're actually asking the right questions or we are just blaming the victim?
Okay, I feel when someone is raped, there's really nothing like an evidence you can actually, immediate evidence you can get. So I feel the first thing you should do is to try to look for a weakness, try to get help somewhere, so that it won't just be your word against theirs. At least when you have a weakness, it will be two words against the other
But
person.
nobody plans to be raped.
Yes, nobody plans to be raped, but in a situation where you know you can get help from someone, I think you should look for get help if possible, so that you just have something like a weakness to fall back to. Because if you go to court, they will always ask you if you have a weakness. So if you have someone to back your words up, I think it's easier that way. You get.
Okay, so let's fall back to the matter at hand, which is, of course, the Paris Saint-Germain player Neymar. Now, something happens to men that are highly placed when they find themselves in a situation where they've been accused of rape. They could lose, like Neki said, they could lose their endorsements, they could lose their jobs. Sometimes, if you're in a structured society, you could go to jail. And then years later, we found several situations, and years later, 40 years later, 20 years later, 10 years later, they find out that the accusation was entirely false. There's a story of a young man, it was online sometime early this year. It was a very big deal. Apparently, the girl was his ex-girlfriend, and he broke up with her, and she wasn't really having it. So she went to the campus authority and told them that he raped her. Now, he lost his scholarship. He lost his work-study program. He was almost excommunicated from school, almost rusticated before the girl finally came out and said that she was lying. And then it was all, what would Jesus do? Forgive her, and everybody moved on. But in the case where your life has been destroyed, or it's possible that your life will be destroyed, even if you find out that you're lying, good news doesn't spread as fast as
As
bad news.
yeah.
The reputation of the man is already destroyed. He might never get a job again. He might never be employed. He might lose his family. What can we do in the cases of force? Do you believe that women should be prosecuted? I saw a guy online that said that a false accusation should get as much time as a rape case, which I think is overboard. But that is what he said. And Nigerian constitution provides statistics for protection of rape victims. I think it even include up to life imprisonment.
Yeah.
So what do you guys do? You think life imprisonment is really great?
No. Like, I don't think it's that bad. But lives have been ruined. First of all, let's explain. I don't think it should get to that point. But yes, something should be done about it because if you don't handle people who take pleasure in accusing other people. Now, take this girl for example. Now, stories are saying that she did it and it was false. She just wanted to see how she can get from Neyman. Now, many people and many celebrities have suffered from such things. Now, what should be done about, first of all, I think the person involved should decide whether he wants to press charges. I think that's where it starts from. If the person, it depends on what the person wants. You can say, I want to press charges. I want to see that something is done. She accused me falsely, and take up your rights that would help you connect with that. And then now the court can now decide, okay, for this false accusation, this and this and this should have been done about it. That's what I feel, because I don't know why you would falsely accuse someone and then you're caught and you say, oh, please forgive me. Lives have been ruined. Take that guy who lost his scholarship, was almost rusticated. I mean, his image completely has been dented in that school, and then he may not even be able to walk with his head up high. People are going to keep pointing at him and saying, that's the guy that raped his girlfriend, that's the guy that raped his girlfriend. And we need to actually enforce laws, and I feel like we have things that can actually protect. We have human rights. You have things that can actually protect us from such things. So when you find out someone is falsely accused, first of all, I think the person should think of pressing charges. And then if the person doesn't want to press charges, then you shouldn't complain.
I'm coming to what a juror is saying now. The African society deals with the whole rape saga differently from the Western world.
Yeah.
The Western world, they have the structure is so placed that rape is somewhat unheard of. But coming down to our line of discussion, basically, false accusation legally is called defamation of character, because somebody is saying what is not true about you. Now, being a celebrity that you're already in the spotlight, and anything you do already has a pass mark or a dent on your image. Now, there are a lot of celebrities that try to cover up all of this, because victims or the accuser would say, okay, if you don't want the story to blow up, you have to pay me this amount of money, or you just have to settle me, and then the case die off. And if she doesn't get her cut, or she creates an alibi of the case and it blows off. But investigations over there are a whole lot more tighter, and they dig deeper to really find out if this actually really happened. And so you can press charges legally. It's the law has different ways at which you can press charges, but depending on the defamation that happened. Two types of defamation. There is libel, that's the one that is written, and there is the slander, words of mouth. You hear, I hear, and it just keeps going on and on. And so sometimes the celebrities would not want to press charges because their own brand is at stake. They don't want to start getting messier and messier with the scandal, so they just try to wrap it up and just let it go. And so for defamation of character, it depends if you really want to sue or not. That is up to you. So.
Okay, John, do you think the state should take it up? Because something like this from both of them, which I think is reasonable, is saying that if the victim does not want to press charges, nothing should be done. But in some cases of other crimes, the state can decide to pursue the case. Do you think we should be in the place where the state should decide? Because when I was doing my research, I found out that in the Great Britain that you called, when you actually falsely accuse a person of rape, the crime is wasting police time.
Wow.
So which means odds are the states are not going to pursue the case. So do you guys think that the state should actually actively pursue the case whether or not the victim wants to press charges?
The state should take it up, because at the end of the day, everybody should protect everybody.
Okay.
That's what I think. I think that everybody should actually be able, especially our security agencies, their job is to protect us. So someone has accused me falsely. You should be telling me, how can I help you? What should be done? You understand? You can't just tell me, okay, well, that's their law, wasting their time. But, something should be done. They should enforce something. They should help. They should say, okay, the victim should come out and make a public declaration on TV, that he lied. They should make him do it on social media. Just, I think, take him through that kind of embarrassment. At least let him come out and say, at least those things are more valid, and explain himself why he decided to publicly embarrass someone like that. Something should be done about it. It shouldn't just be a wave of hand. That's just.
Well, like
I feel
no hug.
I feel the state should do something about it, because if something is not done, people will just keep reoccurring, and people will just want to keep silent because of the trauma they feel to go through. So I feel the state should enforce a law that if you come out to publicly accuse someone, you should also come out to be publicly humiliated, because for you to accuse someone, you don't know what that person has gone through, the emotional trauma, the attitude of people towards him. So I feel I feel the state should enforce a law that when you accuse someone falsely, you should also come out to publicly humiliate yourself.
But the question that has been raised around this school of thought, while I love everything that everybody's saying, I like to just go around and touch everything. Now, the question that has been raised about this school of thought is the fact that, first of all, most times in rape cases, you cannot decipher who is saying the truth and who is saying the lie. And they're saying that if there are laws that pursue false accusations, it will scare actual victims. Because let's say, for example, I am just a young lady, I don't have a lot of money of my own, maybe the law is even created by, maybe my defense lawyer was given to me by the state, and the guy is not really into it, it's not that great. And then I have somebody that can have like 4 sons on his own case, and the person is the defendant in the case, and the person has better lawyers than me, and he can decide to do it in a way that his lawyer will make sure that he walks scot-free. Then me, the person that is actually saying the truth, will then get punished again by the state after I have just been defrauded. If that is the right language.
There should be a place.
So if there is, sorry to cut you short, so if there is prosecution for false victims, will it not scare actual victims because they are afraid that they could be found guilty of a crime that they did not commit?
Proper investigations should be done. I think what happens most times is that when you report cases like this, they don't do proper investigation. Just dive in and follow what you heard. Now, proper investigation should be done. There are cases, extreme cases, where the police force or whoever is involved decides to take it to the extreme, investigate both people, and make sure that something actually comes out. The tangible results or proofs needed to prosecute the other person actually comes out. So, proper investigations for me should be properly investigated, both parties, what led to this and how this happened, so you don't have case, so that you probably know that, okay, maybe it was a mistake on our part, we didn't do enough investigation, that's why this person got away with this, and try and get good lawyers too.
Okay, so I'm gonna just go around and have everybody's final thoughts on this conversation, because I think it's such a great area for me. It's such a great area because, I mean, as much as I want to say let's investigate more, there is hazing the victim. What if I don't want to talk about it anymore? You're asking me what happened on Tuesday 24th of 1942. I don't want to think about it, but then again, how do we get to the bottom of the issue if you do not want to think about it?
If the person decided not to prosecute the matter, if you brought it up, you have to be willing to
go the whole 9
miles. Do you understand? Because sometimes people have gotten away. Let's take it to the other side. Now I'm talking about prosecution, but do you know people have gotten away with rape issues because somebody decided not to say, let's just let it go and suffer a trauma for the next 10 years of her life because she says she will not talk about it, and then you're traumatized, and then maybe you could have just gotten a little bit of closure if you had just pushed the case.
Or then maybe you could have lost and worsened your trauma. So
I decide to take the positive part, that she will get vindication.
Amen for you. Okay, so John, last thoughts. Should false cases be 100% prosecuted?
Yes, I feel it should be prosecuted. Let's talk about the rape, for example. I know when you come out, there's trauma, there's attitude of people change towards you, but then don't you feel that same person will move up to someone else? You can also have averted that their crime if you have come out to say, this person did this stuff to me. So I think in as much as we are considering ourselves and what we'll go through when we actually come out to say, this person rapes me, you should also put the other person, your neighbor also at, you should also consider the other person next to you, because that person may move on to someone else. And if you have come out to say, this person did this to me and it has been tried, and the person was prosecuted, that other incidents would have never happened. So I feel people should, in as much as the drama and everything you're going to go through, I feel it's good you speak up.
Okay, Neki, should false accusations be 100% if we find out that it is false? Because the odds of finding out that it's false or real is a whole thing. So if we do find out that it is false, should the person be prosecuted by the state?
Yes and no. It's a gray area.
Okay.
Depending on the accused, because the accused, maybe due to all of the process of the accusation and all the dust that it has raised, the person might not really have all of the strength to start wanting to redeem his or her name and just say, okay, let time take itself. So yes, in this case, the state wants to take it up to prosecute and say you made a false accusation to this person, you've defamed this person's character, this person cannot hold his head up high in society, and so there should be some level of punishment for false accusers. So yes, I think that will restrain false accusers, especially in rape, because studies have also shown, like you said, that people that are actual rape victims do not come out to talk because of false accusers of rape. So it's good that false accusers are persecuted.
Adrian, you?
Well, they should be persecuted. That's the way I say it. I feel like something should be done to teach a lesson so other people don't take it up.
And also, I want to ask you the question today. Do you believe that false rape accusations should be followed up by the state and they should be prosecuted? Do well to drop your comments on this issue. Of course, the CSM and Direct TV would love to hear your thoughts about this particular issue. We're going to be here again tomorrow morning by 9 a.m. having robust conversations about anything and everything. My name is Joyce Chooks.
And I'm Adrian Moigede.
I am Neki Moyo.
Joanne Gigbe for me.
Have yourself a lovely day. Thank you and good morning.
Bye.